Let us discuss glycogen metabolism and glycogen storage disorders. Before discussing about glycogen storage disorders, we need to discuss about glycogen metabolism. Now, if we discuss about glycogen metabolism, let us discuss first about regulation. Regulation of glycogen metabolism can be done by two enzymes, that are first one enzymes. It includes glycogen synthase and other one is glycogen phosphorylase. One is glycogen synthase and other one is glycogen phosphorylase. Now this glycogen synthase is active in dephosphorylated state. It is active in dephosphorylated state, whereas this glycogen phosphorylase, that is this is phosphorylase, will be activated in phosphorylated state. Glycogen synthase is active in dephosphorylated state, whereas glycogen phosphorylase is activated in phosphorylase state. This is done by two types of enzymes, and the hormones which are involved in glycogen metabolism are, there are two types of hormones. One is insulin, while other one is glucagon. One is insulin and other one is glucagon. This function of this insulin is, it will decrease the blood glucose level. It will decrease the blood glucose level. Whereas the function of glucagon is, it will increase the blood glucose level. It will increase the blood glucose level. Like these are two enzymes and these are two hormones. And if we discuss about regulation, the regulation of glycogen can be done by three methods. One is, first one is hormonal method. And second one is allosteric method. And third one is calcium dependent method. Calcium dependent. These are the three methods of regulation of glycogen, that is, first one is hormonal regulation, and second one is allosteric regulation, and third one is calcium dependent regulation. Now let us discuss about the function of enzymes. First, let us consider glycogen or glucagon or epinephrine. This glucagon or epinephrine, combinedly or singly, they will activate cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is activated. By cyclic AMP, it will activate protein kinase. Protein kinase. Now, this protein kinase will activate phosphorylase kinase. Now, this phosphorylase kinase will activate glycogen synthase, or it will activate glycogen phosphorylase. Glycogen phosphorylase. Once again, glucagon will activate cyclic AMP, and cyclic AMP will activate protein kinase, and protein kinase will activate phosphorylase kinase, and this phosphorylase kinase will activate glycogen phosphorylase. Now this glycogen phosphorylase is activated in phosphorylated state. It is activated in phosphorylated state, and the function of this glycogen phosphorylase is it converts the glycogen into glucose. Glycogen into glucose through glucogenolysis. Glycogenolysis. This is done by glycogen phosphorylase, and this is done by glycogen phosphorylase. And if we come to this protein kinase, they will activate, or else it will convert the glucose into glycogen. The function of this protein kinase is it converts glucose into glycogen. And if we discuss about the cyclic AMP, there is a hormone like insulin. This insulin will be using this cyclic AMP with the help of enzyme called phosphoryl deaminase, PDA. With this help of enzyme, so insulin will be using the cyclic AMP, and after using the cyclic AMP, all these steps will be blocked. It will be blocked here. This is the first method, that is through the hormonal method, and next method is through the allosteric method. Through this allosteric method, glucose 6-phosphate will activate glycogen synthase. So whenever glycogen synthase is activated, it results in formation of glycogen. So here in allosteric form, this glycogen synthase will get inhibited. Ultimately glycogen formation will not take place. And here calcium dependent means this calcium will be acting upon this phosphoryl kinase. It will be acting upon this phosphorylase kinase, and it will activate this glycogen phosphorylase, and it get inactivated. Here glycogen phosphorylase will get inactivated. So as a result, when it gets inactivated, this glycogen cannot get converted into glucose, and ultimately glycogen percentage will be increased. This is the metabolism of glycogen. And if we discuss about glycogen storage disorders, let us discuss about glycogen storage disorders. Glycogen storage disorders. There are several different types of glycogen disorders are present, which are resulting because of storage of glycogen in our body. Normally glycogen is a storage form of glucose, and it has sufficient value in our body. When this glycogen is present in extra amount, then it results in glycogen storage disorders. Now let us discuss type 1 glycogen storage disorder. Type 1, the name of this type 1 is Van Gierk disease. Van Gierk disease is a type 1 disease, and it is internally again divided into two forms. One is type 1A and type 1B. Type 1A and type 1B. Now, this Van Gierk disease is caused because of deficiency of glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme. Glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme. It results in type 1A. It results in type 1A. Type 1A of Van Gierk syndrome or Van Gierk disease is because of glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme deficiency. Now, if we discuss about the characteristics of this type 1A, now here this is glucose 6-phosphatase. Glucose 6-phosphatase is the enzyme. The function of this glucose 6-phosphate, it is present in endoplasmic reticulum. It is present in endoplasmic reticulum. Now this glucose 6-phosphatase function is conversion of glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. Function of glucose 6-phosphatase is conversion of glucose 6-phosphate into glucose. Now, here the disease is caused because of deficiency of glucose 6-phosphatase. If there is glucose 6-phosphatase, glucose 6-phosphate cannot get converted into glucose in the endoplasmic reticulum. Now, if we discuss about the possibilities of glucose 6-phosphate, this glucose 6-phosphate will get converted into glycogen. It may get converted into glycogen with the help of enzyme called glycogen synthase. Glycogen synthase. Now, this glycogen which is formed will be in the liver and kidney. In liver and kidney. So, because of accumulation of this glycogen in the liver and kidney, it results in two conditions. One is hepatomegaly, and second condition is renal megaly. Increase in the size of liver is called hepatomegaly, and increase in size of kidney is called renal megaly, which is occurred because of accumulation of glycogen in liver and kidney. This is first possibility, and these are the two symptoms of type 1A of Van Gierk disease. And next, this glucose 6-phosphate can enters into glycolysis. It enters into glycolysis and results in formation of pyruvate. Now, this pyruvate will get converted into acetyl-CoA. And it participates in TCA cycle. It participates in TCA cycle by liberating carbon dioxide with the help of carbon dioxide. And if under any abnormalities, if the acetyl-CoA amount is acetyl-CoA concentration is increased in our body in mitochondria, now this acetyl-CoA will block this pyruvate with the help of enzyme called pyruvate decarboxylase. It will inhibit the enzyme called pyruvate decarboxylase. When pyruvate decarboxylase enzyme is blocked, then the pyruvate cannot get converted into acetyl-CoA. Ultimately, this pyruvate will result in formation of lactic acid. it results in lactic acid. So whenever lactic acid is formed, the acidic concentration in the muscles will get increased and ultimately results in lactic acidosis. Lactic acidosis. This is hepatomegaly and renal megaly and lactic acidosis. These are the symptoms of Van Gierke disease, and let us discuss why this acetyl-CoA concentration will get increased. So whenever this glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme is blocked, glucose 6-phosphate cannot get converted into glucose, and ultimately the glucose concentration will get decreased. That condition is called hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia. Whenever hypoglycemia condition is arised, then it results in formation of glucagon. Whenever this glucagon is formed, now this glucagon will enters into adipose tissue, and in adipose tissue it undergoes lipolysis. It results in lipolysis. In adipose tissue. Lipolysis means, let us consider triacylglycerols. This triacylglycerols undergoes lipolysis and results in formation of fatty acids and glycerols. Fatty acids and glycerols are formed with the action of lipolysis and with the action of glucagon. Now, these fatty acids which are formed will enter into the mitochondria. And undergoes beta oxidation. Fatty acid will enter into this mitochondria and results in it undergoes beta oxidation. Whenever it undergoes beta oxidation, it also forms acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA which is formed will be in higher amount. So whenever this acetyl-CoA will be formed, it results in blocking of this pyruvate decarboxylase, and next ultimately there is formation of ketone bodies. It releases ketone bodies, that is ketones. So whenever the ketone bodies are liberated into the blood, it consists of ketone bodies. It results in ketosis. And this is one of the symptoms of Van Gierke's type 1 disease, and this is one fate and this is one fate, and this glucose 6-phosphate can enter into the pentose phosphate pathway. It can enter into pentose phosphate pathway. And whenever it is entered into pentose phosphate pathway, this pentose phosphate pathway liberates two forms. One is NADH plus H plus, and it releases ribose 5-phosphate. It releases NADH plus H plus and ribose 5-phosphate. Now this ribose 5-phosphate are responsible for production of purines and pyrimidines. It results in purines and also pyrimidines. Whenever purines are increased in concentration and whenever these purines undergo degradation, it results in formation of uric acid. And whenever this uric acid is present excess in our body, it results in hyperuricemia. And this is one of the factor or one of the symptom of type 1 Van Gierke disease. And whenever the pyrimidine undergoes degradation, it results in formation of carbon dioxide plus ammonia. this is complete picture of type 1 Van-Gieker's disease. It is only type 1 Van-Gieker's disease that glucose 6-phosphate can enter into liver and causes glycogen synthesis and results in hepatomegaly and renal megaly, and it may enters into the glycolysis and forms pyruvate and forms acetyl-CoA, and this acetyl-CoA will enter into the TCA cycle and forms carbon dioxide. Now if acetyl-CoA is increased in quantity, then it blocks the enzyme called pyruvate decarboxylase, and ultimately there is production of lactic acid, and this condition is called lactic acidosis. And why this condition arises means, because of hypoglycemia, glucagon is the hormone which is produced and it undergoes lipolysis of adipose tissue, and triacylglycerols will get converted into fatty acids and glycerols. These fatty acids will enter into the mitochondria and undergoes beta oxidation, and after beta oxidation it results in acetyl-CoA, and these acetyl-CoA which are excess in quantity will form ketone bodies. These ketone bodies will enter into our circulation, that is results in ketosis, and this glucose 6-phosphate will enter into the pentose phosphate pathway and results in NADH plus ribose 5-phosphate. Now this ribose 5-phosphate will result in formation of purines and pyrimidines. If there is increase in purine quantity, if it undergoes degradation, it results in end product of purine degradation is uric acid, and increase in uric acid results in hyperuricemia. And if we increase the pyrimidine synthesis, the degradation of pyrimidine synthesis results in carbon dioxide and ammonia. This is about, these are the symptoms, that is hepatomegaly, renal megaly, hyperuricemia and lactic acidosis, ketosis and hypoglycemia. These are the symptoms of type 1 Van-Gieker's disease which are caused because of glucose 6-phosphatase. Now let us talk about type 1b. This type 1b, now whenever this glucose 6-phosphate will get converted into glucose, it results in formation of inorganic phosphate. Now there are 3 transporter molecules are present, that is T1 and T2 and T3. These are called glucose 6-phosphate transportase 1, glucose 6-phosphate transport 2, glucose 6-phosphate transportase 3. These are the 3 enzymes which are responsible for production of glucose from glucose 6-phosphate and transport this glucose 6-phosphate from cytoplasm to the endoplasmic reticulum, and again from endoplasmic reticulum into the cytoplasm. Now to convert this glucose 6-phosphate into glucose, this glucose 6-phosphate has to enter into the endoplasmic reticulum. So there is a transport 1, glucose 6-phosphate transport 1 is the enzyme which is helping this glucose 6-phosphate to enter into the endoplasmic reticulum. Now whenever this glucose 6-phosphate enters into endoplasmic reticulum, it results in formation of inorganic phosphate. Now this inorganic phosphate which is produced in the endoplasmic reticulum should be moved into the cytoplasm. It is done by glucose 6-phosphate transporter 2, and after glucose 6-phosphate is converted into glucose in endoplasmic reticulum, from endoplasmic reticulum glucose should come into the cytoplasm. So from endoplasmic reticulum glucose is transported into the cytoplasm with the help of enzyme called glucose 6-phosphate transporter 3. Now in type 1 Van-Gieker type B disease, type T1, that is glucose 6-phosphate transporter 1 is get affected. It will get affected. They will get affected. Whenever these get affected, ultimately these are the same condition, that is hepatomegaly and renal megaly, ketosis, lactic acidosis, hypoglycemia and hyperuremia. These are the conditions, and additional to this there is one more important symptom of this type 1b of Van-Gieker disease. It results in neutrophil degeneration. Neutrophil degeneration. Along with these symptoms, one of the most important additional symptom of type 1b Van Gogh disease is neutrophil degeneration is one of the most important symptom of this type 1b, and this is first type of glycogen storage disorders. Out of all the glycogen storage disorders, glycogen storage type 1 disorders are lengthy one and which are most important one, and type 2 disease, type 2 is called Pompei's disease. Type 2 disease is Pompei's disease, and this is the only specific disease which is arised because of lysosomal dysfunctions. If there is any dysfunction in the lysosomes, it results in Pompei's disease. Now, this Pompei's disease occurs because of deficiency of special enzyme, that is alpha-1,4 glucosidase. Alpha-1,4 glucosidase. Alpha-1,4 glucosidase is the enzyme which is responsible for the Pompei's disease. The main function of this alpha-1,4 glucosidase is, in the lysosome, it converts glycogen into glucose in lysosomes. It is specific to only lysosomes. And why does this Pompei's disease occurs means, there are several genes which are present in lysosomes, and there is one special gene, that is GAA. This is the gene which is present in the lysosome, and because of this alterations in the GAA gene, that results in Pompei disease. If there is any alterations in the GAA gene of lysosomes, and these alterations in the GAA gene in lysosomes will result in Pompei's disease. So because of these alterations in GAA genes, this glycogen which is converting into the glucose will not get converted into glucose. So ultimately the glycogen concentration in the lysosomes will get increased. And one of the main symptom of Pompei's disease is there will be increase in size of the heart. There will be increase in the size of the heart. This condition is called Cardiomegaly. Cardiomegaly is one of the most important symptom of Pompe's disease, and next symptom which is related is muscle weakness. The person who is suffering from this Pompe disease can experience the muscle tolerance or muscle weakness, and they can also experience digestion or gastric muscle weakness, gastrointestinal muscle weakness, gastrointestinal muscle weakness, and they also includes cardiac muscle weakness, these are the symptoms of Pompe's disease that are first one important one, that is cardiomegaly and muscle weakness, gastrointestinal muscle weakness and cardiac muscle weakness. This is about second disease, that is Pompe disease, which is specific to only lysosomes, and the deficient enzyme is alpha-1,4 glucosidase, which converts the glycogen into glucose, and if there is any alterations in the GAA gene of lysosome, which results in Pompe disease. This is the second type of disorder, that is Pompe disease. And the third type of disorder is type 3 disease, is Cory's disease. The name of this type 3 disease is Cory's disease. Name of the disease is Cory's disease, and the enzyme which is responsible for the Cory's disease is debranching enzyme. And the name of this enzyme is alpha-1,6 or amylo glucosidase. Amylo 1,6 glucosidase is the enzyme which is responsible for the debranching of glycogen, which results in Cory's disease. The main function of this amylose 1,6 glucosidase is debranching. As we know that the size of this glycogen is very much long, let us consider this is glycogenin. Glycogenin is a structural and functional protein of glycogen, and these are glucose molecules. And the main function of this is debranching enzymes. The main function of this debranching enzyme is it helps in cutting the glucose molecules, and here it will fail in the branching of this glucose molecules, and ultimately the size of this glycogen will be remain at larger size. Size is large, and the size will be larger. And let us, if we discuss about the symptoms of Cory's disease, it includes hypoglycemia, that is glucose concentration will get decreased here, and it includes ketoacidosis, and it also includes hepatomegaly, and it also includes renal megaly, and it also includes hyperuricemia or hyperuremia and etc. These Cory's disease symptoms of Cory's disease are related with that of type 1 disease, that is Vangikas disease, that is of type 1A disease, and this is about type 3 disease, that is Cory's disease. And next fourth type is type 4 is Anderson's disease. This Anderson's disease occurs because of deficiency of branching enzyme. And so it occurs because of deficiency of branching enzyme, and the enzyme which is responsible here, that is branching enzyme, is alpha 4,6 glucosidase. Alpha 4,6 glucosidase. Alpha 4,6 glucosidase. The main function of this is branching enzyme. As we know that the glycogen structure is very long, and to decrease the glycogen structure, let us consider these are 1,6 linkage. It is 1,6 linkage, and the main function of this branching enzyme is it will break the bond between 1,6 and joins the glucose at 1,4 linkage. Let us consider this is one glucose structure and this is one glucose, that is these are 1,6 linkage and this is 1,4 linkage. The main function of this branching is conversion of this 1,6 linkage into 1,4 linkage. If there is damage to this alpha 4,6 linkage, then this long sized glycogen will get accumulated in the livers and kidney. And the symptoms for this Anderson's disease is it includes liver cirrhosis, or it also includes liver damage. Liver cirrhosis and liver damage, and other one is hypertonia. These are the symptoms of Anderson's disease. And next one is fifth type is McAlder's disease. McAlder's disease. This McAlder's disease, type 5 disease, occurs because of glycogen phosphorylase enzyme. Deficiency of glycogen phosphorylase. It occurs because of glycogen phosphorylase and which occurs in muscle. So it is also called muscle phosphorylase. And the symptoms are, it also includes the symptoms of McAlder's disease. It includes muscle cramps, and second symptom is it includes myoglobinuria. What is myoglobinuria means? Myoglobin will get removed along with urine is called myoglobinuria, and which is a symptom of McAlder's disease, which is the fifth type of disease. And sixth type of disease is Hirsch disease. This Hirsch disease is also because of glycogen phosphorylates, and it is specific to hepatocytes, which is also called hepatic phosphorylase. Hepatic phosphorylase. Which the main function, main action is shown in the hepatocytes, so it is called as hepatophosphorylase, and the symptoms includes hypoglycemia, and hepatomegaly. And it also includes growth retardation. This is about sixth type, and last type, that is seventh type, is type 7 disease. Occurs because of deficiency of phosphofructokinase. Phosphofructokinase, which converts the fructose 6-phosphate into fructose 1,6-phosphate. Fructose 6-phosphate to the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. In the brain, and this is about glycogen storage disorders. That the first one is Vange's disease, and it includes type 1A and type 1B, and second one, that is Pompe disease, and third one is Coleridge disease, and fourth one is Anderson's disease, and fifth one is McAlder's disease, and sixth one is Hirsch disease, and this is seventh one, that is because of deficiency of phosphofructokinase.